All right. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. I am Lieutenant McCauley. I will be uh, the host for today's MSC-IPP live Zoom session. The goal of today's session is to give back to those aspiring applicants to join our prestigious Medical Service Corps community. Before we get started, wanted to be known that this brief and anything that is passed today is not on behalf of the Medical Service Corps or the Department of Defense, Department of War, or BMed. These are experiences and wisdom from various Medical Service Corps officers that just want to give back to you all. All right. So, with that being said, we are going to go ahead and get started. Hopefully, you all can see the screen. All right, so our agenda for today, we will cover instructions, nav admins and PAs, just give a general overview of that, and then we'll roll right into package contents. After the package contents, we'll dive into different specialties, and then once that is done, we will open it up to the audience for questions and answers. Okay, so let's talk about instructions, nav admins, and PAs. So I would say that before you start your package or even think about becoming a naval officer, one of the first things you need to think about is, do I know the instructions? Do I know the nav admins? And do I know the program authorization that is tied to what it is I am trying to apply to? Because that is definitely going to be one of the first questions that we ask as naval officers to you as aspiring naval officers is, have you read the instruction? Have you read the program authorization? And have you read the nav admin? A lot of your questions that you will ask will come from one of these three sources. And then you can utilize us to kind of guide you and mentor you along that way. But you got to start here. The OpNav instruction 1420.1 Bravo is the commissioning instruction. All right. If this is just a snapshot of it, if you open the table of contents, you'll see all the various officer programs that are out there. And if you look over to the right, uh, you'll see that it talks about the basic eligibility requirements. Chapter 6 is what covers specifically Medical Service Corps in-service procurement program. So highly recommend that you look at Chapter 6 and look at Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 as basic eligibility. And then also, you also have the program authorization 115 Bravo. As you can see towards the right of your screen, that snapshot, it can be found on My Navy HR, along with all the other program authorizations. And then if you look towards the left, again, it's going to give you basic requirements of applying to the MSC IPP program, such as being E5 to E9 with E4 waivers possible. That may be spelled out in the NAVADMIN, which we'll talk next. But definitely look over the program authorization. Tie that into the OpNav instruction, because as you can see with the date, this has been updated as of September 2023. And it's probably going to be get updated again as I just spoke to the lieutenant that works up at the officer programs, and she said that there is a new PA in routing. So, and then lastly, the nav admin. This comes out every year. The one for this year is in routing, but be on the lookout. My Navy HR, nav admins, you'll see it drop. And when it drops, it looks something like this. The thing about the nav admin is that document tells you specifically what BUMED is looking for that year. For example, last year we may have taken, let's say, EHOs, optometry, and IHO. While this year, we might not be taking EHOs or IHOs. It just depends on what the community health is looking like. Another one is I've seen in some NIV admins where we may offer age waivers for, let's say, PA. Or I've actually seen age waivers, I've seen rank waivers offered for PA in the past. So you have to read the NAV admin word for word to see if it's offered. Because if you don't see that an age waiver is offered, then you may have an issue. So as you see right here, number 3, it says age waivers up to age 48 are available and will be considered on a case-by-case basis. That was last year. You got to look at the one this year to see if that verbiage is going to be in there. And then also, if you look at number 8 on this nav admin, it tells you when the packages are due by. So all the information you need is in the nav admin of where to send your package, when is it due, are there some documents you can send at a later date, if you have questions, who to email, and then as you can see, some of the specialties are spelled out as what the requirements are. So with that being said, I wanted to open it up with that. Those are your three main documents that if you are applying for a medical service corps officer program, you need to be very familiar with those three documents, read them, and make sure that you can answer your own questions from those documents before you bring them to us. All right. With that being said, I am now going to turn over to Lieutenant Anderson and Lieutenant Herrera, and they will take it away on package contents.
All right. I guess I can start off, Mary. So letters of recommendation, what I will say is they definitely speak to your character, right? This is not a summary of your fit reps, of your enlisted fit reps. They're speaking to your character and what you bring to the medical service corps community. Who should give you your letters of recommendation, right? It should come from folks that senior officers, medical service corps. Doesn't necessarily have to be medical service corps, but that are senior officers that you've worked with in the past directly, whether that be your XO, your director, your CO. Uh, those were the people that I kind of targeted when I was doing this, and that's who I would suggest. Right? With your letters of recommendation, I would also say once you receive it, make sure that it is to the correspondence manual. Like you, as a future healthcare administrator, should be thoroughly familiar with that manual. So sometimes, I'm not saying all the time, senior officers may just write a letter and not necessarily put in the correct format or not address it to the correct board or not, do things of that nature. So make the corrections yourself, send it back, and kindly ask for them to re-sign it and make sure that it is correct for your package because it is your package. So you want to make sure that it is correct. I see a hand for a question.
Um, yes, good evening. CS1 Singletary here. Question about the letters of recommendation. What if it is like your retired old CO or retired XO? Does that count or does it have to be active?
Um, it counts. Yeah, I would say it probably doesn't weigh as heavy as somebody that's current. And it also goes to how long that person's been retired for. If they just retired last year, they're probably still fairly well known in the community. So I would say yes, I'd probably use it. If they've retired 10 years ago, 5 years ago, I would probably waive off. But Mary, you got any thoughts on that?
Yes, I'm gonna jump in real quick. So a few other people you can get them from are your professors, um, other services like a captain from the Air Force, or let me say '05 and above or '04 and above from the Air Force or Army. They do have medical service corps as well. So if you had experience with them, maybe because you were stationed with the Army or the Air Force and you worked under them, they can also write you a recommendation letter. If your supervisor is a GS employee, a 13, 14, GS 12, they can also write you one as well. Over.
Yeah, absolutely. I can concur. And one of the questions that comes up is how many letters of recommendation do I need? I think the max is four. Your appraisals are three. When I did my package, I went with three and three. I just kept it the same. At the end of the day, it's your package, but that would be my recommendation.
Thank you.
Right, several questions I see.
I see hands up. If you don't mind, just hold them to the question and answer session. So that way we can answer them all at that time.
Yeah, go ahead. Write them down. Appraisals. I guess I can kick off and Mary chime in, please. Appraisals speak to your potential. All right, that's how I interpreted appraisals to not necessarily character, but your potential to function, excel, and succeed within the wardroom. Uh, as you look at an appraisal sheet, right, they're gonna observe you and describe you in adjectives and grade you 1 to 10, and then they're gonna make comments. Right, that comment section is key. What they put in that section, something along the line is something I had in mind was like, if anyone is selected, this is the one. This, if only one person is selected, this is the one. He is the new standard by which I grade all other appraisal sheets or MSC potential applicants. Some of those call outs, those big call outs that are going to get the attention of the board. Um, your 10 marks, uh, that there's different schools of thought on that. I'll tell you that your competition is stiff and your competition is going to be all to the left. So, take that for what it's worth. Mary, you got any thoughts?
Hey, Snyder, I do. On the tens, not all tens are good tens. If
Right,
that
right.
makes
Absolutely.
a lot of times people get upset because they get their appraisals back and they're like, oh, I got a 9, I got an 8. Everybody cannot have all tens because everybody's not perfect. Let's start with that. And a 10 from a respected person in the community, or let me take that back. A 9 or 8 from a respected person in the community versus the 10 from somebody that nobody knows, it's two different things. That 8 or 9 from the respected individual is going to outdo that 10. So let's not always
Absolutely.
or 10 all the time.
Yep.
And also with the appraisal, when you get your appraisals back, look at it carefully. If there's 2 lines in there, the person did not take their time to really write too much. They just wanted to get you out their face. They just did that to give you the appraisal. Also, the instruction says 3 required, minimum 3. You can do more. I recommend you do more because you're not always going to like all 3 of them. So get as much as you can. And if you prefer to just put all of them in there, do it. Sometimes you'll get a 3 somewhere or a 4 somewhere, and you might want to toss it. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just saying. It is also recommended that at least one of the 3 is from somebody within that community that you're trying to commission into. If you could get all 3 from that community, it is always preferred. A supple cannot tell you how to be a medical corps officer, but a medical corps officer can. And maybe a nurse corps might be a little bit better than the supple. But the more you have from that community, the better off you are. Schedule your appraisals early. I cannot stress that enough. Lieutenant Presley's on here. I know he didn't get a chance to introduce himself, but this is our biggest headache when we ran the program in Portsmouth, is trying to line people up with appraisals. What a lot of the applicants don't know is that some of these officers have a quota. They will only do 4 a year, 6 a year. And if you wait till the end, they already met their quota. So now we got to fight to find you somebody that's willing to give you an appraisal. So start it early, get that out the way, and as you work on your package.
Yeah, spot on, Mary. I totally agree with all that. Some things I know that come into concern for a lot of applicants is rank requirements, right? I 05 and above. Sorry, I know sometimes 04s think they're senior officers. They're not. 05 and above. That is a standard for that.
And know the person you're requesting the appraisal from. If you ask somebody for an appraisal, do your homework, do your research, get to know who they are, find their bio, read it. And one thing you learn is you might not want an appraisal from that person because they might not be liked or well known in the community. So definitely ask around. I know you have a mentor. That's order number 1. If you're gonna apply, get you a mentor that's gonna work you through this process and help you out. With that being said, also make sure you have a bio, a resume, and something to give to them. When I say something, somewhat of a package, okay? Because they're not gonna accept your request for an interview and they don't know what you're working with. So get your bios ready, start working on them so you could present your bio, resume, and whatever you have on your package to that individual. So when you walk in there, they have an idea of who you are. And likewise, you should have an idea of who they are as well. And lastly, do your research on MSC-IPP on your program, because half of that interview is going to be them seeing what you know. Know who the chief of the corps is, right? Know how many specialties we have. Just the basic stuff. If they ask you those first few questions and you don't get them right, yeah, you don't turn them off. So some things to keep in mind. Snyder?
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Right. There's just those two basic questions are key, right? Not only that, but knowing where Navy medicine is heading. What is the direction of the DHA, the Navy medicine enterprise? Where are we going? What is the target? What is the goals? What is on that campaign order that's driving Navy medicine? Right. These are all questions that will come up, and it might not necessarily be a factual answer. They might want to know your opinion on some things, right? To see your critical thinking and what do you think about that. I can give you an example of a question I had. Mine was about FTEs. It was about senior medical corps officers holding executive positions, right? When we're short those critical specialties within the MTF. And it was like, what's your thoughts about that? What are your thoughts on the use of the FTE, right? And we had a whole conversation. So just things around that's going to help you as you go into these appraisals. Make sure your uniform looks sharp, and those basic things are going to set you up and line you up for success.
Ooh, I'll take this one. Appraisal etiquette. Dress for success. Unless you're told otherwise, get those whites ready. Get those blues ready. Be inspection ready. Just because you have your dress blues on don't mean your nails are going to be pink, purple, hair in a messy bun. Show up for the job that you want. Every interaction you have as an officer is a job interview and is an opportunity for something greater. Military bearing. Make eye contact. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Don't be fidgety. You got your cover in your hand, flipping it, turning it, tossing it. Don't do that. Most of us have stat boards for sale of the quarter, sale of the year. It's the same thing. This time, I know it's probably more nervous to you. You're going to be more nervous, more nerve-wracking, but try to keep it together. Proper and sharp facial movements. You remember you're at a board. So a lot of the time, you'll be somebody you know. It might be your department head, your director. You still need to maintain your bearing. Don't get comfortable because you know that person. Especially if you're in a panel format, the others are still judging you. So it's not like, you can just relax, lose bearing because, oh, that's my director. We talk, I see him or her every day. Don't do that. When you're done, thank the board for their time. Thank you, sir, for taking time out your busy schedule. Thank you, ma'am, for seeing me, whatever it may be. They're 9 out of 10 times they're going to ask you if you have any questions. So come in there with questions already to ask. If they don't ask and you have a question, permission to ask a question, or do you mind if I ask you a few questions or whatever, they will allow it. Do not answer a question with a question. Man, we had a member do that, and I don't want to know what that result was like. If you don't intend to get back to them, this is not a sale of the year board. Do not say I'll get back to you, because they'll be expecting it, because you don't get your paper back the same day, because they got to go back and type it up and write it. If you don't hit them back, they make mental note, so they're gonna know. You're always being judged. The minute you enter that room, you are being judged. It's go time. So be ready. Snyder?
Yeah, no, I just spot on. I got nothing to add for that. Just be ready, right? This is your time to shine. So you got to go in there guns blazing.
Hey, and team, I will add one thing. So for those that are on operational forces or are in remote locations, you may or may not get an opportunity to do a board the same way that some get, do boards at the military treatment facilities. So with that being said, still a lot of these still are gonna be important to when you do your board. but just know you can still get your boards done. One thing I would recommend is this is where you got to have your mentor, have some junior officer, in the field that you're trying to get into that can be that conduit to reach out to the senior officers and help you get your interview appraisals. And get you prepared. It may be on the phone, it may be via Teams, whatever the case might be, but you can still get them done. So don't think that if you're somewhere remote that you can't get it done. You absolutely can, but make sure you talk to your mentor.
Commanding officers endorsement letters. Definitely draft it, write it yourself. What you would like your commanding officer to sign and support. This is where you're going to use your mentor, right? Because there is specific verbiage that you want within the commanding officer's recommendation, saying that you meet the standards and are within the OpNav guidelines, et cetera, and then kind of go from there, right? This is where you're going to use that mentorship to make sure that your CEO's endorsement is addressing that board and speaking to that board and letting them know that, hey, if I'm willing to lose anybody out of my command, is this person. So, Mary, you got anything for that?
I just want to add, like, once you're done with your package, and if you're looking at the what's the list, the checklist, the first page, I know it says what, page 10? I forgot what page it is, but it becomes page 1. When they open your package, this is the very first thing they see. This is where your package starts. So if your CO endorsement is blah, 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 and they just gave you something just because they don't want to tell you no, they want to support the sailor, but they really don't care if you make it or not because maybe they don't care for you or whatever the case may be. This is it. This is where it starts. And most likely, if it's not a decent or good endorsement, that's where it stops.
Absolutely.
So they got a lot of package to go. They're not going to sit here and go through your package, spend 5-10 minutes, whatever time they have on your package when your CO barely believe in you. Because that's who you work for. If he don't support you, how they going to support you? They don't know you. So again, it says it right here. Have your chiefs look at it, your master chief, your devo should look at it before it gets to the CO, your department head, many eyes on it. And follow the proper procedure to write it. I've had people just put a whole big essay together. If you're looking at the example that Tristan got up, break it down. Don't make it an eyesore. I don't want to have to know where your period's supposed to be, comma. Grammatical errors will mess you up too, especially HCAs or administrators. Attention to detail. And if you're going to present it to your CO, let it be ready so he don't have too much to do. Because he's busy too. If he got a lot of work to do, he's going to sign whatever you put in front of him. This is the very first thing they see, and you don't want it to be the last. Over.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Oh, man. There's different schools of thought with this. Mary, you want to start off on this?
Oh, I got you. All right. Personal statement. This is your moment with the board. This is where you sell yourself to the board. These people don't know you. They may, if they've worked with you before, but 9 out of 10 times they don't. So therefore, it's a lot of things that you got to do with this personal statement. For one, if you only wrote it once and nobody read it, you're wrong. You got to check for your language, your tone, grammatical errors. As a prior adjunct professor, when I get those, the first thing I notice is the missing periods, the commas in the wrong place. You spelled this wrong. You got to make sure that this thing is right. Similarly to your CO endorsement, this is very heavy. Mm-hmm. So check for, let others read it. Be prepared for constructive criticism. So 5 different people will read it, and you're going to get 5 different feedback. None of them are wrong. It's different point of views from different people. It's your story. Nobody's going to tell your story like you're going to tell your story. And you better capture their attention with the first 2 to 3 sentences. If it's boring, guess what? Your package probably boring too, and they're just going to put it to the side because you're not telling them what you need, what they need. What do you have to offer to the community? Why should they pick you? You have 250 words. And a lot of us are not even corpsmen, right? A lot of us are applying from other rates. So we really got to sell this board on why we need to come to their community and what do we know? What are we bringing? So your personal statement should, I don't want to say is the strongest thing in that package. It's one of the few that means a lot because that right there, if you can't sell yourself, then your package probably ain't gonna sell you either. Snyder, you got anything to add?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Your personal statement is your voice to the board. That is the only thing in your package that speaks to you and what you bring to the table and why they should select you. A lot of the times, I'll tell you my experience when I did my package. I held my personal statement close. There's very only few people I let look at it and I took advice from. Did I write it multiple times? I probably wrote it a good 30 times until I felt like it was enough where I can't do anything else to it. Um, Nowadays, I get a lot of packages and I ask simple questions. Did you answer the questions? Did you answer the three questions that they're asking for you to answer in that personal statement? Sometimes it's some folks will start off with a sob story about my wife, my kids, my mom. Everybody's got them, all right. But what they want to look for is what are you bringing to the community? What are you bringing to Navy medicine and to the medical service corps, and how are you going to make that impact, right? So, biggest thing is to answer the questions, and make sure that you have it broken down in those three sections that each bullet answers that question it's addressing. So that's my take on the personal statement.
And
Real quick,
if I may jump in on this one real quick, Lieutenant Anderson and Lieutenant Harris brought up some valid points with it being as important as it is. The CO's endorsement is the first thing they see, but I would argue, along with what Lieutenant Anderson said, this is probably the second most important thing. I know if I was sitting your board, this would be the second most important thing that I would want to look at is your personal statement. Why are you trying to do this? Because if you think about it, this is the one time in the Navy that when you're applying for something, you actually have to tell why you want to do it. From no way up from E1 to E9, are you saying why you want to do something? Why you want to be E4, why you want to be a chief, or why you want to be whatever. But here, you have to say why you want to do this. So that's how critical this is. And the one other piece I wanted to add to this is the one thing that you can start without anything else, anybody else. This doesn't depend on anybody else. This depends on you. You ain't got to send off to no school to wait for your why to come back. You don't have to ask for an interview appraisal with a senior officer to for your why to be here. You don't have to be finished with your degree to start your why. You can start this now, and I recommend that you start now. That's all I got. Y'all take it back over.
um, one last thing for me. I got one yesterday and it was really good, but it screamed Chat GPT. We can tell when you use Chat GPT. Your personal statement should come from the heart. It's what you want. Chat GPT don't know what you want. It could help you with the wording, but we can tell. So speak from the heart. As long as you're telling your story, you're good. Make sure the spelling's right, the tone is right. Because remember, you're speaking to a board. You're speaking to at least bachelor, master level education. So make it sound like that. You're trying to be where they're at.
Yes,
Hey,
sir.
Don't use chat.
hey, Lieutenant Anderson,
What you laughing at?
if that personal statement says unwavering 25 times, you got that from ChatGPT. Let's stop it. I'm with you.
Uh, your evals, your evals are going to speak for themselves, right? Anybody that's applying or seeking to be commissioned, I would not well, I don't want to assume, but I would think they have strong evals, competitive evals that make them want to go to the next step or go to the next challenge and pursue commissioning. So your evals are going to speak for themselves. Then that's kind of my take on the evals. All right, extracurricular activities. Extracurricular activities, you're gonna put things that you do within the healthcare system, or things that you do outside that are not within Navy medicine. What do you, because they're gonna see like the package as a whole and know the person. Like they're trying to kind of filter out like who is this in as an individual, as a person. So like, what are you doing in the community? Are you involved in associations and committees? Are you into program management? Are you like techie and like have all these certifications and other programs? Kind of, this is what you want to put into these extracurricular activities. And what are you doing in those associations, whether it be ACHE, um, uh, uh, ACHE chapter in your region? Are you involved? Or it could be volunteer services, your church, right? They're just trying to paint the picture of who you are as an individual and as a whole person.
So this is one of my favorite blocks on the application. As Snyder just mentioned, you get to sell yourself even more past your personal statement. What I see a lot of times is collateral duties. For one, they're already on your eval. I don't want to see it again. Two, that's your job. That's what you do in the Navy. It says extracurricular. What are you doing for the community? What are you doing? A lot of times, ACHE, it's already up there. If you're coaching a basketball team, you're doing something in the community, do that. If you're shadowing, put the shadowing in there. Spent, shadowing in the pediology, whatever that is, department at NMRTU Bahrain or NMRTC, whatever. That's where you sell these things. I hate seeing these damn collateral duties over there. Don't put those in there. Another thing, do not leave any of these blocks blank. Sometimes somebody will have 3 and not 5. You're doing something. Dig deep. We don't like to see blanks on these applications because you're not doing enough. So take your time. It's something that you're doing that you don't think belong in there, that belongs in there. All 5 blocks need to say something. And when you write it, you're just not listing, basketball coach. No, coaching 32 youth at Boys and Girls Club in downtown Chicago. Make it read like an eval book, not just listing this, that. Again, this is another opportunity to sell yourself. Maximize, write as much as you can write in that block. So when the board reads it, they're like, oh, this person is engaged. They're doing this, they're doing that. Because you only have 250 words in the personal statement. Over.
Yep, spot on. Yeah, that's all part of extracurricular activities. Package etiquette. So within the MSC-IPP page, there is like a breakdown of how you put your package together in the 6-part folder. I would use that line by line, and check it off as you put things in order. As you know, you're seeking to be a healthcare administrator, and within the medical service corps. Your punctuation, your grammar, your correspondence manual etiquette, your letters, everything should be spot on. Like, it should not have any errors within it. And how your package flows, it should be in accordance with the guidance that is published on the MSC-IPP page into what goes into every section of that 6-part folder.
Consistency. We need to have consistency throughout the package. Don't leave any block empty. If it doesn't apply, write NA. We don't want the board questioning anything. Well, did she get a DUI? Was there NJP? Because you did not NA the block or whatever it is. Consistency throughout. Awards. If you're going to write NAM, write NAM, first award. Not NAM, NAM, NAM. Write first, second, third award. The instruction actually tells you how to write it. It's not Navy Achievement Medal. It's actually NAM. It's actually COM or whatever the award is. A lot of times we just fill it in how we think it should be. The instruction tells you how, the 1420, tells you exactly how to do it. So consistency throughout the package, attention to detail, all caps, all lowercase. If you started one way, finish it that way. Don't switch up and stuff like that, because we see that the board sees it. And just like anything else, have multiple eyes on your package, not just one, not just two, because sometimes, because it's your package, you're not going to see your mistakes. You've been staring at that package long enough. Other people will look in 2 seconds, will find 5 mistakes that you done made. So definitely, the more the merrier, and have different people look at it. Let it not just be your mentor. You can share it with your junior personnel. Maybe they'll catch something that your LPO or your chief didn't catch, or vice versa. Rank does not mean smarts. We all know that. So don't discriminate when it comes to having people, second look at something for you, or can you proofread this, proofread that, because you're gonna see it's beneficial.
All right. Well, first and foremost, let me say thank you to Lieutenant Harry and Lieutenant Anderson for going over the package contents. There was so much wisdom and gems dropped in that. I hope you all took notes, and hopefully you got your questions ready for the end so that way we can answer those questions. Now
Hey,
we're gonna
Mac, before you go into the ACA, I
great.
will say, if you're aspiring to join the medical service corps community, do your due diligence, right? Like you said earlier, read the instructions, read the publications, do the homework, and put the work into your package. Um, if I get a package from somebody that's applying, I typically do not make much top chops to it. I ask you questions and I let you go do your package. I won't make edits to your personal statement. I won't make edits to your on the courage and commitment section. I won't do much to it because I just don't believe in spoon feeding you. And then you're gonna end up in the community, and I gotta pick up your load because you weren't ready. So just be mindful of that, and if this is really what you want, then put in that work.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. We're gonna transition over to the specialties now, and go through each of the specialties, and then we'll close out with some question and answers, and then the closing remarks section. So we'll start off with the healthcare administration, and just an overview. The focus is leadership, operations, health systems management. You talk about logistics, talk about IT infrastructure, finance. We're pretty much whatever you can think of that makes the medical operations go. That's what healthcare administrators do. And I have to say that because typically I'll get a sailor that come and say, "Hey, I want to be a healthcare administrator." I say, "Well, what do you think a healthcare administrator does?" You do admin, and I'm like, "We do a lot more than admin." But yes, we are. Um, I would say a master of nothing, but a jack of all trades, unless you focus on something like Lieutenant Herrera did medical logistics. Lieutenant Anderson is doing PAMI, Plans, Operations, Medical Intelligence. There is a director session and a training option. I'll speak on the director session, which is basically you already have a qualifying master's degree. Again, I'm not going to tell you what makes it qualifying because if you remember what I talked about in the beginning, you can find what makes it qualifying. You can find that document that tells you that. But if you have a qualifying master's degree, then you put your package in, and you send your package to the board. And if you are selected, then you are what we call a director session, and you'll go off to, well, you'll commission, and then you'll go off to officer development school, not officer candidate school. And at the end of officer development school, you'll go off to your first tour as a healthcare administrator. Typically, you'll go off as a general healthcare administrator, and then from there, you'll make a decision if you want to, focus in something special. I will say just to close out kind of healthcare administration. Um, I chose Lieutenant Anderson. I chose the plans and operations route because I have a passion for operations. My advice to you is if you come into this community, find what you have a passion for, sorry, and let that be your guide. Um, I just me, I wouldn't necessarily choose a job just because somebody else has done it. I would choose it because you got a passion for that. If you got a passion for supply chain delivery, then logistics is obviously probably your field. If you have a passion for accounting, then finance is probably your field. If you have a passion for teaching and education, then education and training is probably your field. But definitely focus on your passion and where that is, because that's what we need on this side. And then before I turn over to training, the last thing I'll say is if you do apply specifically for healthcare administration, just know that the way Navy medicine is going is we are focused more in an operational setting now. All of our billets at hospitals are now part of Navy Medical Readiness Training commands and or units, which means the sailors are for the operational, the readiness piece. And if you pay attention to what's going on in the world and you read your strategic documents, which I highly suggest, then you should know what's happening in the world. And that's what our focus is. So you need to make sure you read the Navy Surgeon General's line of efforts. You need to make sure you read the Navy CNO's strategic guidance. And just know that everything we're doing as healthcare administrators, really as a Navy medicine as a whole, is focused on how do we support the warfighter through those 5 line of efforts. So make sure you read that. With that being said, I'll turn over to our training team to talk about HCA training.
Ladies, y'all want to go first?
Oh yes. So H1 Collier, I'll just talk about like the Baylor part. Um in order to apply to Baylor, you have to take the GRE. My first note is to take the GRE. I put on my application Baylor and USIS, but I had Baylor as my number one choice. I will say if you do take the GRE or any of the other testing required, take them. And if you don't score the minimum score, Baylor do has a waiver option, but it's a separate process that you have to do for the GRE waiver. So if you don't score as high as you think you should have, that's always an option. So don't be scared. Just take the test and apply to both. LN1, do you have anything to
Yeah,
add?
so the GRE, right, adding on to that, the GRE is actually harder than you would think. I would say that, so I did the waiver process. I had put USIS and Baylor on my application, and I took the GRE in 2024, I believe, my first time submitting, and I was lower than what they wanted. I got accepted to Baylor, but not USU, so I had to retake the GRE. For the waiver process, I did submit a waiver. It got granted, and then probably about 3 weeks ago, they asked me to retake the GRE, and it was chaos. So I had to then I think I studied for about 3 weeks and had to retake the GRE and have it submitted by January 31st, which is today. It was a lot. So I would say if you're going to submit and you want to take the GRE, do it well beforehand. It only lasts for I think it's 2 to 3 years, and then you'll have to retake it. You can only take it 5 times within the year, and it has to be 21 days apart.
So,
And then,
okay,
go ahead. No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So again, I see people in the chat. So I want to introduce myself again. Ensign Stephen Graham, right? I'm currently attending USIS. I see a lot of people outside the Corpsman rate. So I do agree with you. I was a prior RSC and been in the Navy now for 16 years. 14 out of 16 years I've been out to sea. So what Lieutenant McCauley was talking about as far as the Surgeon General's, right, line of efforts going as far as the operational platform. I applied for HCA training one time and I got selected my first time applying. Okay. So everything that the prior lieutenants have talked about, I abide by it because I had good mentors. So just take heed to that. So I do want to also say for uses, right? For uses a little bit different than Army Baylor. I was selected to both as well, but I chose uses, right? So uses requires a letter of competitiveness. And what is a letter of competitiveness, right? You have to request and let uses know, listen, you know what? I'm going the MSC-IPP route for training. I would like to see your attendance, right? So they're going to ask you for 3 character statements. So this is not your actual personal statements or your letters of recommendation. This is a character statement. So I highly suggest going to your department head, specifically maybe your XO, because I had an AOIC. My AOIC actually wrote me a letter of competitiveness, right? I mean, to give me a character statement for my letter of competitiveness. Then after you receive your letter of competitiveness, which will take about 4 to 6 weeks. You need that. That is crucial for applying for your package, right? That is crucial for that. And I'm gonna tell you right now, right? I was a prior administrative chief in Camp Pendleton once as an RSC, and I've seen a lot of applicants. They try to apply for the training route, but they'll put direct. Right, you got to be pay attention to details. So you'll be cautious on that. Right now, I'm currently going to my second year, and I'm going to explain my day in the life right now as a student. I go to class roughly between 3 to 5 times out the week, right? Depending on the actual schedule, right? Because we also have different semesters. The training route is very intense, right? It is not a bad thing, but you have to be on your P's and Q's because you're going to be crammed with not only a lot of homework, but you're going to be also like working on learning. It's pretty much what the HCA does, right? You learn the basics of it. And I talked to more senior MSC officers, and they have told me, they said, listen, man, if I would have known this 10, 15 years ago, I would have went this training route. Okay, because it set them up for '04 and '05 later on in the future, as far as them actually making rank the first or second time when they're up for it. But there's some people that actually do that for direct as well. It just depends on you. We do go on field trips, right? I just went to the Pentagon. We have another meeting, another 2 weeks with ACHE, right, in Maryland. That's going to be fun. Prior to that, we went to DHA. It's a lot of good information. But let me go ahead and talk about the 24 months you're going to be there. Your 24 months, your first year, you're actually in school, classroom setting. And then the second 12 months, you're going to be going to your didactic phase. So what is your didactic phase? Your phase is pretty much you're going to have a residency, right? So depending on what route you want to go, as far as an actual HCA, they're going to match your, if you want to have a subspecialty or you just want to be general, they're going to match your actual wants to the location that best suits you. Okay. So as of right now, we don't know officially yet, but we'll find that out like probably actually this upcoming week. Okay. But other than that, just ask me for any more questions for the sake of time. I'm going to be here for the Q&A. Thank you.
All right. Hope everybody can hear me well. My name is Ryan One Ta. It's very weird to see a non-corpsman rate become selected for physician assistant, and that's kind of what played into how I made my package stand out. So the PA program in general, if you care to know much, it's ranked, I believe, it's tied for 8th in the nation, meaning it's a very arduous program. Although the skill floor is a little bit low with just needing an SAT, not needing a degree and things like that, the competition is really fierce because you're fighting against people who have been in the Navy, IDCs, things like that, large amount of time. I am very lucky to have been selected, but I will say that this was my 4th time applying. So keep that in mind when you are applying for this program. Some people will be really lucky and get selected first time up, and some people may take some time. I had an HMC last year that I talked to for a little bit of mentorship. He applied 8 times, and he's an IDC. So there's a lot of things that PA packages look for that I would love to get into when we go into the Q&A session at the end. But your LOR, your interviews, and your personal statement are going to be the things that really stand out because every PA applicant is going to have a high GPA. You're going to want to be as competitive as you can, and you have to imagine everybody else is coming in with like a 3.8 and above. So you do have to have other things that make you stand out. For my non-corpsmen in here, things like shadowing would be really helpful. I was able to get 100 hours of shadowing for PA, which made me stand out and show my commitment to being a PA because my mindset of going into this was that I'm going to pretend like I'm also applying for PA schools on the civilian side. And these are the things that they require to just show that you really want to be a PA. The tables, as you see in front of you, show you the prerequisite courses. Please keep in mind there's an FAQ on the Med Navy page. All of these prerequisite courses that you see in front of you expire within 10 years. So if you're not even ready for that, you'll have to retake your courses. I had to redo anatomy and physiology and a couple of the humanities and social science courses because I'm surprised. I joined the Navy much older and had gone to college prior, and a lot of them did expire. For my IDCs in the group, they do say in the FAQ there are some things that are covered, but you don't meet the full 60 units, so you still have to go back, take these prerequisites along with medical terminology and among things like that. One thing I will say, the SAT is the most important thing for PA, and you need to get a minimum score. If you're below that, you're going to make yourself ineligible. So I believe LN1 had mentioned earlier for related to like the GRE, take it early so that if you need to retake it, you can redo it again. So that's kind of the gist of it. PA is a little bit more difficult, but any more questions, I'll answer those at the end.
So next up for environmental health officer. So there are definitely two degree options as long as they're a qualifying degree, right? Whether it's a bachelor's or the master's route. A lot of people get confused when it comes to the accrediting requirement for bachelor's degree. So you really have to read the program authorization for this bachelor's program if you're trying to come in with the bachelor's. It's very specific. It's very clear. When it comes to the graduate degree, the master's, it is a master's in public health, but it has to be in the environmental health field. And the PA does talk about some of the specifics. There are since you all are prior, there are prior enlisted who've made it through without a qualifying degree, but a lot of their coursework during their graduate degree actually covered it. So like, and it's very, package specific. There was one Prev Med Tech who had a HCA degree, but um, a lot of his graduate work was in environmental health. A lot of the electives, he tried to pick some of them. I guess he made a switch in his field halfway through and decided wanted to go the EH route. But on top of that, he did get his REHS, registered sanitarian, so that really helps anyone who applies. Getting those certifications speak largely to it. And that's really it for EH. When it comes to the EH stuff, most people come in with a master's. Very few people come in with a bachelor's. There's only two of us right now that have it. And for the most part, if you're an EH, you're gonna get sent anywhere that is a millet for O1, 2, or 3. So that's a NetMu, NMRTC, any of the X meds, EMF, EMU, EMS, FTPMU. And then you're definitely on the hook being a brand new EHO going to Med Battalion or with the mall. So literally anywhere. Next slide. IH, I almost went the IH route personally. My degree qualified for both. When it comes to this one, there is an emphasis on preference, right? So looking at the ABET accredited requirement for this, if you have a bachelor's, so you can definitely come in as an O1 or O2, bachelor's and master's. But it's a very extensive science. It says it right there. Must meet extensive science credit recommendations. I've met a couple of IHs who just slipped by with the requirements. But the day-to-day work for an IHO is very science heavy. You have to know your organic, inorganic sciences. Those labs really help with the coursework and what you'll be expected to do. IHOs are usually just pushed into an NMRTC or the NetMu. Very rarely you get pushed with the FTPMU, but you're definitely going to a NetMu, support the fleet or the NMRTCs, and doing a lot of the safety in IH and ventilation. Yeah, just know for this one, just know what the course load requirements are, and you have to hit those. And the other one that I'll cover, entomology. I know there's a PMT in here or two, or anyone who likes entomology. Entomology is definitely under applied. The number of people who apply for entomology is usually pretty low. It is a field that the Navy does need, and we need them. The locations where they get stationed for your first tour, most likely 90% of the time, is probably going to be the Navy Entomology Center of Excellence in Jacksonville, Florida. Almost all of the first term, whether you're prior enlisted or not, gets sent down to NECE, and you support some of the research that gets down there. You must have a master's at a minimum from entomology. The American Entomology Board or whoever convenes it. Super easy, pretty straightforward. But yeah, if anyone's interested in entomology, please apply.
And I'll add, as you were talking about that, I was thinking about I want to give a shout out to Lieutenant Commander Sawyer and Lieutenant Commander Moen. They were two entomologists that worked with me out at 3rd Med Battalion in Okinawa, and they were amazing.
Yeah, most did.
And as entomologists, I mean, when I tell you they came in handy because whenever we was in Okinawa, if we came across any bug or anything that looked weird, they were just right there to say, "Oh yeah, that's that. You're good. It's not harmful." So
Yeah, I'm gonna add not to undermine the importance of entomology, but like if anyone is interested in entomology, it is a very open field, very pretty I'm not gonna say pretty easy to get into because you have to go through to get your master's and all, but this is definitely one of those that people don't apply to and we need them. And so if you're looking to commission, if you have an interest in entomology, they will use you for your entomology skills. But if you put in the work to get that degree and apply, it's pretty good, whether it's through IPP, HSEP, or even direct. The chances are very high.
we'll go back to the Burgos. Yeah.
Clinical social work. So I'll try to kill two birds with one stone with talking about clinical social work as well as clinical psychology. First and foremost, I would definitely encourage and direct you to the program authorizations 115, specifically for the clinical psychology route, and then of course 115 Bravo for all questions on clinical social work and the program requirements. The reason that I say that is because, especially for clinical psychology, the opportunities for psychology are definitely robust because there are different routes and methods that you can take to earn a commission, including training or direct. All of that being said, the training pipeline for clinical psychology and social work, we work in tandem with psychiatrists in the Navy. Okay, and one of the things that needs to be understood is that if you're going through the internship route, I know that for clinical psychology, that places you at Portsmouth Naval Hospital directly for that 1 year internship prior to completing your program. Whereas for clinical social work, we have a couple of different options that will either put us out in Portsmouth, Camp Lejeune, or Balboa. At the point that you start your internship, regardless of which one of those fields you're wanting to get into, we align in that the majority of our responsibility is optimization, right, for the warfighter. And at the end of the day, that's your primary responsibility. So in real time, you are dispositioning sailors, you are providing short-term supportive therapy, and you're also coordinating with interdisciplinary healthcare teams as well as those command triads to ensure that we're making the best disposition in the best interests of not only just the sailor, but also the command. That's one of the major emphasis that I think a lot of times might end up being missed in both of these programs is that you're dual-hatted, okay? Because not only do you have the responsibility to be an advocate for those sailors who are obviously coming to you for whatever mental health disparity they may be experiencing, but you also have a responsibility to the fleet, right, in order, insofar as maintaining eligibility for continued service. Okay, so even though we might be behind closed doors more often than not, what we do is definitely influenced based off of world events, and it has a direct impact on the warfighter as far as manning, retention, and all those things. For social work specifically, it is a 24-month fellowship, at which point you incur 4 year service obligation. And after sitting your board for licensure, you will be characterized as a licensed independent practitioner. At this point, right, our duty stations are becoming more robust, right? They just recently acquired the carrier element, and at some point in the future, probably look to see more of that kind of trickling down to the DDG elements and so on and so forth. But for the time being, we are operational. And there's a variety of different opportunities versus, being in the MTF where you'd be encouraged, to actually explore those. Those could land you overseas in BSO billets, working with the Marines, again, on the carrier element at an MTF. So definitely flexibility is a real-time thing. I don't really want to get into too much of the meat and potatoes of, again, the requirements, because a lot of that can be answered for you by reading those program authorizations. But if anyone has any questions with regards to specific responsibilities that have not been covered in this conversation so far, please stand by and answer or to have those questions answered for you at the end of this. Thanks.
All right. So as we'll get ready to close out of the specialties again, for some of these we didn't have representatives today, but guarantee you that and we'll put our emails in the chat so you can reach out to us. But if you reach out to us, we can definitely get you in contact with any of the other specialties that are not able to show today. As well as I will throw a shout out to another enlisted to officer commissioning brief coming up. So we'll do that at the end. But pharmacy, here's the requirements for pharmacy. If you know anybody who wants to become a pharmacist, and again, we can definitely get you in contact with pharmacists that are over at the three large medical centers or even at some of the clinics. And then we have medical laboratory. Just taking a pause so the audience can review that if you have any questions about the requirements for it. All right. And so what we'll do at this point is we'll go over to question and answers. Time now I have is 14:14 Eastern Standard Time. So we'll go about 20-ish minutes with questions and answers. If we finish early, the better. If not, we'll keep going for at least the 20 minutes. And then we'll dive into some closing remarks from each of the representatives, kind of like a little motivational closing remark for each of the from each of the presenters. So with that being said, let's open it up. I see a hand. HM2 Mills.
Good morning. Sorry, I'm in California right now.
No worries.
A question I had, I am interested in applying for the PA program. I have a bit of a predicament with my SAT. I'm deploying on March 5th through the 8th, around that window. And the next SAT date is March 14th. I wasn't able to take it in December, the last test, just because I was in the field. So I've been working with my leadership and I'm trying to figure out a way to take it in my location, but there is not many options for me to take that test.
So I'm going to speak on that. Oh, and I had taken SAT. Just if you're planning on applying this year, that will run into a problem because it's not a waiverable requirement unless
Yes.
the NAV admin changes.
Yes.
When I had taken it, I driven all the way up to Baltimore to take it because I'm out in Richmond. And it was kind of scary, but I had to make it work because I've always said that the SAT, all of these prerequisites are sort of like a litmus test for the board to see if you really are trying to like prove yourself, prove to them that you want to do this. We can go offline more to see what your situation may be specifically to see
Okay.
how we can sort of help push you in the right way to get that SAT taken.
Thank you. I took it twice, but not within and I'd scored the required score, but that was 7 years ago. So
Oh, yeah,
I'm like,
that's
I know
unfortunate.
the test scores can't be waived. I'm like, can we waive the time? But
But yeah, please connect with me offline and we can kind of go further into that for you.
awesome. Sweet. Thank you, Wyman.
I like that. I like that. Thank you. Awesome. All right. I see another hand up. Let's go with Mr. Brian Hampton. So I don't see any ranks. If you don't put your rank, you're just gonna be Mr. today. Brian Hampton.
Hello, H1 Brian Hampton, stationed out here in Iwakuni, Japan with MAC 14. Um, I'm getting ready to PCS, and this transition is kind of making it difficult for me to move forward with my package because last year when I was doing the package, I didn't have anybody out here, so I found all the appraisals myself, letters of recommendation myself. But I'm going to a hospital now, and I know things are different. I've reached out to the hospital, haven't heard anything back. Is it typical to for them to do their own boards and stuff while they're there, or should I should I start doing everything on my own again? And after this question, I have another question.
You want me to go ahead? Yeah, hey, Brian, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, so what I would say to you too is that like the connection that you currently have at that command, especially MSC type officers, see if you can get possibly a letter of recommendation for them, right? Because you cannot apply within, I believe, 12 months, if I'm not mistaken, if you're PCSing for that program, right? So my suggestion is, man, like when you get there, let your intentions be clear. I'm gonna tell you right now, right? As soon as I put on chief, I'm just gonna say, for example, right? I got to a new command, made chief, right? I talked to my CMC. Hey, listen, I'm planning on applying for MSC. And he was like, really, dude, you still kind of a new chief, right? And I'm telling you for this example, right? And I just got PCS over there. And I said, look, man, I'm trying to go in and do this. And he respected. Because once you come out the gate, people are going to be more receptive. Okay, you know what? This is what he wants to do, and they're going to be able to help you. Okay, don't be like some of these other sales that are trying to go back gate. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to keep all your cards, and you can't have like the left hand know what the right hand is doing, right? But at the same time, make your intentions clear, man, and whatnot. And if you want to, right, you can put in the chat, or you can just message one of us offline, like which command you're going to. We can get you a representative over there.
I definitely appreciate that.
I'm
And
gonna follow Steven up real
oh,
quick. And I
sorry.
had that happen to me one time. This is Lieutenant Anderson. I transferred in August, and the package at that time was due in September. Even though I had done as much as I could, I still had to have my new CO endorse me. And then when I got to the command, I did just that. Hey, Master Chief, I'm applying for MSC-IPP, whoop-de-doo. And I didn't want that new CO's recommendation because he didn't know me yet. So, as I said earlier in the brief, that's the first thing they see. So, sitting there with the CO who probably would have known me 2 weeks, what can he possibly say about me? I don't think his assessment of me would have been fair. So, I took the L and I sat that year out. But that was just on me because it probably was like my third time applying anyway. I didn't want him to give me something just to give it to me. I wanted it to be a very fair assessment. And I wasn't being fair to him by giving him like 2 weeks to be like, hey, sir, write as much as you can. And the best thing about me, oh, by the way, I'm your new LS1. So that's something you got to think about.
Thank you. I definitely appreciate that. My second question is, so I applied last year for EHO, but I was so close to graduating to where I couldn't go to training route, but I couldn't go to direct route, in the program. Since then I started my MHA because I already finished my MPH. But does it hurt an applicant to already be in school like I was last year, or should they like hold off if they plan on going the training route?
I think I'm trying to process your question. You're in school for your MPH right
So
now.
yes, last year I was I was going to finish my MPH in the fall. So when I got the feedback from my application, she said that I couldn't go the direct route because I didn't already have my degree, and then I couldn't go the training route because I would already be done with
Gotcha.
school by the time I came up to start school. So I really think that hindered me last year for my package. So I was asking, if a person is close to finishing school, but within the same area that I was, should they hold off on dropping the package that year and just focus on the next package the following year going direct, basically? because I was in a limbo phase.
I would I would suggest, given your current situation, that you go ahead and finish your master's because you are also transitioning. So we have those two working against you. So give yourself another year
I already
and
finished
finish
my
your master's.
my master's in public health. That's done. I just
So
started
the
the master's in
MHA.
healthcare, in healthcare admin for outside the Navy. That's not for inside.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind.
I was wondering for people like me who was in that position, should they hold off or
Yeah, I
you
got
know?
I got something for you for that specific one. So I think we didn't really talk about this one specifically, but it's a good point, right? Timing is a really important part of this whole thing, right? Unfortunately for you, the timing didn't really work out when it came to like when the packages were due, and you couldn't apply for direct, you couldn't apply for training just because of when the boards convened. So I think timing is really important, and it didn't work out for you. But I think what is important and that you can get out of it was you get a little bit more time to prepare, meet people for appraisals and letters of recommendations. A lot of time people want to apply in the next, let's say, 4 or 5 months, and they don't know anyone yet. So they have to start building connections. And I think that you weren't able to make the time to apply, but you did. Now you have the opportunity to meet people and network a bit more.
Thank you for that.
Hopefully, I'm about to say, hopefully, does that answer your questions, Hampton?
It does. It does. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Next we have HM2 Rodriguez from NMRTC Rota.
Morning, afternoon, evening, y'all. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
All right, good to go. So HM2 Rodriguez from NMRTC Rota, looking to go the HCA route. Just have 3 questions. The first one being, can I do a board online, like for Zoom? Is that valid for a desirable appraisal from an officer? It's a pretty high-ranking person that I have a good relationship with, and I just don't know if that's valid.
So that's an easy
That
answer. The answer is yes.
Yes.
It's up to the senior officer if they want to do that interview appraisal that way. It's up to them.
All right. And the second question being, how long should a CO's endorsement letter be?
You have to redo it every year.
Is a page fine, 2 pages? Is there a
Oh, how
maximum number
long?
of?
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yes.
I'll open it up to Lieutenant Anderson or any other ACAs. I can only speak for me. Mine was only 1 page.
yeah, it should be a single pager.
And my final question, is there any recommendations that you all might have for HCA mentor in Rota, Spain that would be willing to take me under their wing?
Yeah, talk to Lieutenant Gavan. He's your MMD there.
Good to go. Okay, that's actually my department head.
Yeah, so
Perfect.
Lieutenant Commander Gavan went to MPS, and he's a good piece of gear.
Good to go. All right. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your questions. Next, we have a Mr. Cordell Mitchell.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I am HM2 Mitchell. I'm currently stationed down in Belle Chase, New Orleans, NMRTU Belle Chase. And so I'm currently applying for the HSCP program for HCA. And you sort of just answered part of my question that I had with regard to like the letters of recommendation slash, appraisal interviews and stuff like that. And I heard you just say that they are valid for 1 year, but are they valid for cross programs? As I'm pending, I'm getting ready to turn this package in now, but pending results, I'm also still interested in MSC-IPP as well.
So one easy way to answer that is the first way to answer that is can you apply to HSCP and MSC-IPP? The answer is yes. As far as if you get a letter of recommendation from Captain Smuckatelli for HSCP, then Captain Smuckatelli is going to have to write 2 letters because the from and to is going to be one is going to be to the HSCP board, while the other one's going to be to the MSC-IPP board. So you can get 2 letter recommendations. You can use the same person for both if they would like to, but it's going to be two different who is going to, if that makes sense.
Yes, that does make sense. Okay. It can
And
be the same verbiage. It just needs to, the two from line is what you're saying.
yeah, the end goal is the same. It's just one is out service and one is in service. And since you brought that, I'm just going to interject real quick because I know we got some people out there that's probably saying, what is HSCP, so forth and so on. We did not cover the recruiting programs in this event because that is an out service program and that is ran through the recruiting district. So that will be another live Zoom session as there are a few different requirements just so everybody's tracking. But if you have questions about HSCP or HPSP, definitely reach out to your medical officer recruiter. Did you have another question?
No, I don't. That was it. And is it similar for the appraisal interviews as well? Does that need to be redone for each time you apply for a program?
Every year that you apply to a program, you have to redo those. So if you don't get selected this year, you have to redo those interview appraisals and letter of recommendation.
But not cross program. So like the letter of the appraisal interviews I had for HSCP, can they go toward MSC-IPP for this year as well?
Two different boards.
Okay.
That's an
You
easy
can
way for
reach
you.
the person that did the appraisal for you and ask that they redo it or fill out a different form.
Just with the different name.
Excuse me?
I'm sorry, just with the different board addressed on there.
Right, because on the top of the form it says program. So it would say MSC-IPP or whatever the other program, HSCP on there. So you'd have to reach out to that person and have them do it.
Understood.
Yep.
Thank you.
That's why I want to make it clear to you that it's two different boards.
Right. Yep, I understand that. Okay, but I got it. Thank
Different
you.
packages. All right. Next up, we have PR2. Sorry if I say this wrong. Sorry.
You got it right. Sorry. Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for organizing this for us. And I have one question and one recommendation. Sorry, not recommendation, but if somebody can help me with something. So the first one is for the letter of recommendation, it can be from anyone outside MSC. And for the appraisal, that one has to be from an MSC officer, correct? I just want to clarify that. Because I'm aviation side, I'm not anywhere close to.
Yes, I'd like to chime in. I work with explosive ordnance, and two of my LORs were from EOD officers. I just had to speak highly of my character and my ability to perform well in rigorous programs. The appraisals were all from PAs because I was applying for PA. So if you're applying for HCA, it would behoove you to have all HCAs be your appraisers.
Okay, thank you. And I'm also currently stationed in Whidbey Island, Washington, and I've been trying to find a director to help me. And I think I had reached out to one of the officers that spoke earlier, and she's been also trying to help me find somebody here that can help me. So if anyone knows of anybody in this area, Everett, Bremerton, in Washington area, I'll be willing to, talk to that person. Thank you.
PR2, I'd highly encourage you to visit the naval clinics and talk to the director for administration at each of those facilities. They should be able to direct you and assist you with that.
Thank you.
All right, awesome. Great questions. Next we have a Cameron Osman. Cameron Osman, are you there? If so, you can come off mute.
Good morning. Sorry. H1 Osmond from Navy Medical Administration Unit here in Monterey, California. First of all, thank you very much for providing this training. I appreciate all the presenters and their input on this. Just for a generalized question, what are some of the common mistakes you see that keep getting repeated for these packages throughout all the programs? And grammar, of course, punctuality, keeping the format the same. But what are some of the things that stick out to the presenters that they're just automatically see as problems with packages when they're being submitted?
I'd like to chime in.
No, well, real quick. What we'll do is I laugh because I know all of us can give something. So what we'll do is I'll give an opportunity for each one of us to just go and we can give him a response. So yes, you go ahead and then we'll just go down the list because I know everybody got something.
Yeah. One thing I've been told for the PA program is applying when you're not ready. Missing your SAT, missing your prerequisites, just submitting it thinking that, oh, I can get by. That's one thing that I've noticed for a lot of these people applying.
I was gonna say from my end, even though I'm an HCA, like I said previously, looking at the other packages for HSCP, MSC, whatever, if they're going PA, whatever route they're going with, they're not meeting the accreditations. That's pretty much what it is. They're not meeting the accreditations, and I can't believe LT, if you did it before. I think he made a video recently about it. If you look on his Facebook profile about understanding and looking at before you start these degrees. And if you know you're trying to apply for this program, make sure that it has the correct accreditation. There's different accreditations out there. You just have to understand specifically, for School of Medicine, there's a different accreditation, right? For PA, there's different accreditation for HCA, whatever the case may be. So just look at that.
All right, I guess I'll go next. Yeah, I see a lot of common mistakes, but I'll pick one, and it's one that is probably my biggest pet peeve. So if you talk to me about becoming an officer, don't do this. So the first thing I'll ask every single sailor when they say I want to become a naval officer or a medical service corps is I ask the question why. And when I ask you why, if you give me these similar answers of I'm tired of being enlisted, I want to make more money, or I just want to help people, I'm probably going to send you away. Because if you're tired of being enlisted, I don't want you over here. Because you're going to be whatever type of enlisted you're going to be the same type of officer. And we don't need that. So that's number one. Two, if you just want more money, get out, go day trade, go gamble. I don't know, do something. But don't come over here for money. Because sure, do we make a little bit more money than enlisted? Yes. But that is not going to be the reason why you get up and put this uniform on every single day and have to go and lead because you're a naval officer, even when it's hard. So that's number two. And then number three, if it's I just want to help people, shit, mate, you can go be a chief. We need more chiefs to help people. But if you want to be a naval officer and a medical service corps officer, you need to know why. So back to what Lieutenant Anderson talked about earlier with that personal statement and Lieutenant Herrera. If I ask you why, you better be able to spit that out, or you better have something and we can work on, your why or your purpose and things like that. Because I'm gonna tell you shit, mates, it's not easy over here. It's not easy. We get up every single day and there's something that happens inside of a hospital or on a ship or with Marines that we have to make decisions. And a lot of those decisions are probably life threatening or can be life threatening. So if you choose to come over here, just make sure you know your why. That's all I got. Anybody else want to add their common mistakes before we move to the next question?
I'll just say that a lack of attention to detail is one that you get a lot. And that doesn't only apply to punctuations and your periods and spaces. It's the order of your package, where things belong in your package. Are every block addressed? If everything's capitalized, is everything consistent? Like all those little things kind of add up to your package.
I'll
I
add it.
think for me, it's the process. Some people do not understand the complete process. They think it's just fill out the application and go sit, get your 3 appraisals, get your recommendations from anywhere, and they get frustrated. Sometimes they'll get frustrated with you, the mentor, and that's frustrating for me. They do not read the NAVAD. They do not read the 1420, and they just let me just shoot my shot. And as the mentor and person on the other side trying to help them, it's very frustrating. So understanding the process is very, very important, especially the auto raters that are not corpsmen. It's a process. Somebody just said it's hard to find somebody to mentor them. When you're out of rate, you're not an HM. We don't have medical doctors, HCAs at our disposal. We have to go out there and get it. Some people think that's easy, and it's really not. Because even when you're in the hospital trying to find somebody to do appraisal sometimes, like I said earlier, it's difficult because sometimes they're busy. Some people just don't want to do it. Some people already met their quota. And I was at Portsmouth. I had so many people at my disposal, but it was still hard to get 5 to sit in one room at the same time. So the process itself is frustrating, and I don't think people understand the process. Lieutenant Presley, you have anything?
Hey, thank you, Mary. Hi, Lieutenant Presley. I would say that the one thing we see when we collect data each year from the people that are selected, we do what's called a competitive profile, which gives us the average of everyone that was selected across all the opportunities. And then when we go and we do our briefs, we usually show that information at the larger medicine briefs that we do for our community. And the data really speaks to whether it's your first time or your third, fourth, fifth, it doesn't matter. You're in that competitive profile the year you're selected. So what that looks like is a total person concept. The same as when you're enlisted and you're eligible for promotion for E7, E8, E9. They're looking for every category, you're exceeding the minimum requirements. And so that means that you don't need anything as far as someone to have sympathy or compassion for you in a specific area. So in the chat, a lot of people are saying, hey, I don't want to take the GRE, so I'm going to apply to just one school. What we're trying to encourage you to do is to take all the tests you need to take. As the people that have spoken, they all took the test. Some did apply for waivers and they had to retake the test as well. But if you're exceeding the requirements and you're not asking for someone to have sympathy on you for a lower GPA or something like that, if you don't exceed the requirements, go back to school, go back and study. It may not be your time. But the one thing you have to do is connect with a mentor. If you can't find one, you're in a remote area, that's fine. That's what the MSI-PP social Facebook groups are for. I think we have 7,000 members in one and 5,000 in the other. So there is a mentor for you. And if you cannot find one in that group, anyone on this call that you reach out to that shared their email in the chat, they will connect you with the right person or take care of you themselves. And that's all I have. Thank you. Over.
All right, great questions and great answers. For the sake of time, we're going to push forward. We only got about 6 more minutes, and we got, I think, at least 3 more hands raised. So let's move to, again, forgive me if I say this wrong, shipmate Oyendamola.
Yes, that's me. I thought I fixed that. Good morning, everyone. This is AM1 Michael. I'm here on Camp Pendleton in ACU 5. So my question is on the package side of things. I've gotten a lot of mixed review every time I present my package to different officers, and it's very confusing sometimes. So at times I have to go back home and then like actually try and dissect my package myself. Obviously, I don't know what I'm doing, but I do have a question concerning evals. How I don't want to say how important or how strong is that? Because I have like a very weird circumstances with my eval with timing. My last command, like I got in there one rank, got the welcome on board P, and then right after that, I immediately picked up rank, got another P. So it kind of just looked like PP back to back. Before I was able to get into the MP slots, it was time for me to check out. So I just kind of have that weird dynamic over there. And with my last package, I tried to like get my last CEO to talk to that and explain that. So I just wanted to ask like how strong is that? Like are they looking for like just a bunch of EPs constantly, or I hope that makes sense.
I'll take that real quick.
Yes.
Lieutenant Presley just spoke about the complete sailor.
Mm-hmm.
Evals matter, but it's everything else. And I said earlier, don't leave any questions for the board. There is a place in the continuation section in that package to where you yourself can talk to the board about that situation. So use that special circumstance page. I don't remember which page number it is off the top of my head. And you can actually write that in there and explain it just like you explained it to us, or however you want to explain it to let the board know, like, I'm not a dirtbag sailor. but this is my situation and my circumstance. It's just timing. So that's the way to do that one. Over.
Yeah, nice point, Mary. Thank you. I'll also add that the folks sitting the boards have been around the Navy for quite some time, and they see the time period and the reporting period and what's going on in the fit rep. So I would address it as Lieutenant Anderson mentioned, but I wouldn't beat yourself up on that because the folks sitting the board can see that.
Yeah, Lieutenant Herrera, you stole my thunder. You got to remember these people that are sitting these boards are senior officers, meaning they've sat selection boards, just like your senior enlisted sit selection boards. So they can pull up, they review your OMPF, and they can see that you have a different reporting senior or that you have been promoted. All that stuff is in your OMPF. So you're fine. Keep promoting. That means you're doing something good.
All righty. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Looks like our last question will be from a shipmate, Sealy.
Yes, I'm MA1 Sealy. I'm stationed in Jacksonville, Florida, over at Mesron 10. So I am PCSing as well. I'll be on my way to Wahiwa Cyber Group 1 in Hawaii. I'm leaving next Friday. So my question, have we heard anything about when the new nav admin will be released? Just being that I am out of the field, I am an MA, and I'm not even going to Pearl Harbor, I'm going to Wahiwa. So I did build some contacts here, but from my understanding, as far as getting appraisals and all that stuff, trying to get it done before I left here, I needed the nav admin to come out first.
So I was going to save that till the end. I did speak to Lieutenant Barker, who is the replacement for, well, I want to say you can't replace Miss Kemp. She's irreplaceable. So Lieutenant Barker will be working up there now. With my conversations with her, the nav admin has already been routed. Look for it to be out sometime within the next few weeks. On that note, for everyone's awareness, there will be some updated guidance in that new nav admin. So I highly recommend that you read it word for word because there will be some changes. I'm not going to put that out because it's not my lane. But does that answer your question?
Yes, that kind of gives me a timeline. Thank you. And Lieutenant Presley, I will be sending you another email. I shot you an email. And if anyone knows anyone in Hawaii, I will be over there at Tripler trying to get in touch with their DFAs. Thank you. Thank you guys for your time.
Awesome. All right. Well, what we will do at this time, perfect timing. Man, we're actually going to finish on time today. We're going to go around the presenters and do some closing remarks. What I would ask from the presenters is just go back to when you were in all these shipmate shoes and what would you kind of tell yourself, right? What last bit of motivation or inspiration can you give these shipmates that are online to help them either start the package or finish the package strong? So with that being said, we'll work our way up. We'll start with Ensign Q. Last closing remarks.
I got something for anyone who's first time putting this package together. I definitely find a space, whether it's in your home or at work, where we spend the most of your time, or on your phone or whatever, right? Laptop. List all the things that you need for this program. Though we mentioned the 6-part folder, right? The 6-part folder has its requirements. But list all of the people you intend to or like to request letters of recommendations, appraisals, and things like that. Make almost like a vision board of all of the things that you need, of any extra certifications that you plan on getting, and then write it all down, right? Don't knock it all out at once because it's impossible. Do it little by little. As you closer and closer to submission, whether you're submitting this year or next year, just have a plan and a deadline for yourself and just keep yourself accountable to what you say you're going to do. That's all.
Oh, yeah. Next, we'll go with Lieutenant J.G. Burgos.
All right. The only piece of advice that I really have is to just be consistent. There are some of us who, have been kind of on this pathway for years. I myself was in for 17 years. on the enlisted side before I got the nod to join the MSC, right? A lot of those came with some trials and tribulations and sometimes some adversity. So, that also kind of works hand in hand with the folks who've submitted before. Consistency is something that they acknowledge, right, on these boards and things like that. So even though you may be told no 99 times, all you really need is one yes, right? And as long as you have that in your why, I think that helps to remain authentic and to keep pushing forward, because believe it or not, a lot of us have been in that same situation. So if you have questions, or you find yourself suffering in silence, don't put yourself on an island. Ask the question, reach out, and good luck to everybody.
Oh yeah. All right, next YN1 Ty.
You're going to hear the same thing of being hungry and keep trying the 99 no's and one yes as someone who's applied 4 times. So I want to take a little bit of different route for people who are applying for the first time. It's going to feel like there's a mountain in front of you because there's going to be a lot of things you need to sort of compile together and to work on. One of my best mentors that I had when I was a junior sailor, he always asked, how do you eat an elephant? And he said, one bite at a time. So as you're working on your package, take things piece by piece. Don't beat yourself up if you don't get it all compiled in a week. It's going to take time. I've spent hundreds of hours just combing over my package, looking at every line with my yeoman eyes as much as I can to be like, there's a comma missing, there's a spelling error, and it's going to be frustrating and your eyes are going to start looking in different directions. But just take everything one day at a time and one piece at a time. Just like in boot camp, chow by chow. And that's kind of the best attitude to have when you're working on this package and for this application.
Awesome, love it. Next we'll go with LN1 Bowie.
I would probably say mine was the same. So this is actually my second time applying to MSC-IPP and getting picked up. However, I would say that what I did is, because I was an LN and I was coming out from a strike fighter squadron and did not have or know HCAs, I went to symposiums, people who were giving out like, oh, if you want a mentor, hit me up. I was going to talk to them. I was taking my package and going to them. Sorry, my kid. I was doing all the things I could. And certifications, I was going out and I was listing each certification, what could show the board that though I'm legal, I'm still hungry to be at HCA. And so I listed out certifications between the time that I was told no and this time. And I just started knocking them out one by one. And I think by doing that, I showed myself that I really wanted it. And then that is what helped me with my why. So if you're not sure about putting your package in, your mentors and the circle you have around you is what matters. And that's what mattered me the most. Lieutenant Presley was probably the biggest person for me. I think I called him like 9 or 10 times crying when something would go wrong, anything minor. So having this circle and having people that will motivate you when you feel motivated matters.
Oh yeah. Next, H1 Collier.
All right. So, my biggest advice is to try to submit the package. The hardest thing for me, I think I wanted to do this for like so long. In 2023, I wanted to do it, and then I started getting everything together, but my graduation date wasn't until like May or June of that year, and the packages were due in June of that year. And so it just felt like a lot at the time. So I waited and waited, and I submitted last year finally for the first time, and I was accepted. So the biggest thing is just to do it and go for it. I will also say, everybody says find a mentor. Don't just find a mentor, because some people, I hate to say it, are not good mentors and don't really, I don't know, they have good intentions, but sometimes it's not as helpful. So make sure you find in good mentors, people who intend to help you and get your package together. And yeah, and I had a checklist of everything I needed. And every time I did something, I checked it off. Get an appraisal, check it off. Oh, I want an appraisal with this person. Make sure to get an appraisal with this person. Check it off, check it off. GRE date. My first time trying to take the GRE, I decided I wanted to take it from home and my computer didn't work. I don't know. Stuff happens. So just make sure you stay focused. Don't give up because the hardest part is to just do it.
Oh yeah, I love it. Love it. All right, next, Instagram. You there,
Can you
boss?
hear me? Yeah, can you hear me?
There we go.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you the biggest personal thing I will tell anybody, and this happened to me personally. When I did my interview appraisals, I probably did 4 appraisals. Excuse me, I did 5. Out of the appraisals, I got 4 out of 10. Okay, out of my interview appraisals, 4 out of 10. So I had like 2 captains, not gonna say any names. They said, listen, man, you're RS, you can go OCS. And you know what? I talked to my OIC about it. At the time, now he's the captain. He said, you know what? Go ahead and still submit. So this is your career, right? This is your families. I want you guys to start thinking about, if you just putting the package in for your money, for just money, that's the wrong way to go about it, right? You think about not only yourself, your mental, think about your families, especially if you have children, right? Because when you come into this world, when you do crossover, you're not just thinking about just your career, you're thinking about retirement and thinking about them. Okay. So do that. And then also too, don't ever limit yourself. Never limit yourself. But regardless, if you do limit yourself, you're limiting yourself from learning. So that's all I got to say.
Oh yeah. All right. Lieutenant Anderson.
Everybody said everything for the most part. One thing I got, get to know people in the field, get to those hospitals, get to those clinics. A lot of you ask for mentorship because you're in remote areas. That's amazing. My first try, I was a career counselor. I thought I could do it myself, low LS2, back in 20, whatever it was. And yeah, that didn't work out for me. So knowing what I know now, mentorship is important. Shadowing is important, especially if you're not in HM. Get out there, learn something so you have something to put in your package. Patience, 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 patience. Not everybody make it the first time. Don't get discouraged. It took me five times over a period of, I want to say 8 or 9 years, to get it. And quick story, back in, I want to say 2014, 2015, Lieutenant J.G. Burgos, I was his LPO, and we were talking about this back in 2014, how we wanted to submit packages, or I'm working on my package. And lo and behold, today we're both sitting here talking to you guys and achieved our goal. What is it? 12 years later? So yeah, patience, mentorship, put in the work. That's all I got.
Love it. All right, Lieutenant Herrera.
Hey, first and foremost, good best of luck to each and every one of you as you guys go down this path. A lot of the wickets were already mentioned. I would add to ensure, it was already mentioned, ensure you read the publications and understand the direction of Navy medicine, right? Lieutenant McCauley mentioned Navy medicine is moving to, operational and readiness, right? But let me add something to that. You will be in the MTF, you will be attached to the NMRTC, but you will be delivering, healthcare to the beneficiary, right? Because that is readiness, right? That's readiness of the force. So, while you're still part of the NMRTC, you will be in the MTF doing healthcare business, doing the MMD, doing all those other things that lead to delivery of care, right, to the warfighter, because that is readiness. So just keep that in mind, right? There's different specialties that you can get into as an ACA, PAMI, logistics, and you name it. But at the end of the day, we're there to provide healthcare to the warfighter, their families, and the beneficiaries that put their hands they put the trust in our hands for their healthcare.
Oh yeah. And I do want to say I do apologize. I did not mention this gentleman earlier when we were opening up. I thought he was going to be on chill mode today, but I'm going to bring him out this time, and he's going to give us his closing remarks as well. So without further ado, Lieutenant Presley.
Thank you, Tristan, my brother. I appreciate you. I would say that we're doing a change in regard. So Lieutenant McCauley and I worked together in recruiting, and we worked on his application, and he was picked up, as well as some other people in between that we know. And he is going to be the area coordinator for the Tidewater area. So that's anything past Quantico up to Camp Lejeune. If you're not in those areas, of course, we take care of everybody, but we will send you to the command that is nearest to your location. That way you can get Navy medicine help, even if you're in a remote area. So, for those of you who may be in those places that are beyond our reach, uh, the emails are in the chat. Reach out. Like Lieutenant Ms. Collier said, we won't be able to get back to everyone at the same time, but we will do our best before the cycle starts of package prep and interviews to get you taken care of. I would say to realize that if you're on this call, you're on here for a reason, some because they want to apply, some because they're just interested in what we do. No matter where you're at in the journey, start the process and be confident in yourself and don't take any shortcuts. There are no shortcuts to this process. And so we are here to connect you and help you, but you have to do the work. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for my time.
Oh yeah. All right, perfect timing. I'll give you my little 2 minutes and then we're gonna close this out. Um, First and foremost, let me say thank you again to all of the presenters who took the time out of their day to give, because I always have to say that because money you can always get back, time you cannot. So thank you to all the presenters that took the time out of their day. And then also thank you to all of you all that took the time to join in. My last closing remarks would be, speaking of time, is timing. And I've heard people say this quite a few times. Life is about timing. You cannot force, you cannot make anything happen that's not meant for you until it's meant for you. So you do what you can, you put your package together and you send it off and you let the board do what they do. If you don't get selected, it just wasn't your time. You pick it up and you submit it again. If you don't get selected, it just wasn't your time. If you get picked up on the first try, it was your time. But you have to understand that life is about timing. You have to have patience. Okay, that's number one. Number two, uh, it is your package. No matter what we all say today, it is your package. At the end of the day, you got to submit what you are proud of and what you want to represent you at that board. So similar to what somebody mentioned earlier about choosing the right mentors, absolutely choose the right mentors, and let people guide you. But at the end of the day, it's your package. I'm gonna give you a few documents to write to take these down so you can look over these. Number one, thanks to Lieutenant Herrera for sending it to me. The National Defense Strategy for 2026. It just dropped. I highly recommend that you read over that National Defense Strategy because everything that we do in the United States Navy ties into that National Defense Strategy. It just came out for 2026, so read over it. Next is the Navy Surgeon General's fiscal year 28 campaign order. That is where the 5 line of efforts are located. That is exactly what Navy medicine is doing to support the warfighter. And everything that we just talked about, all throughout these specialties, fall into one of those 5 line of efforts. Next is the Navy CNO's Fleet Foundry Fight. That just came out, and then you'll see a lot of his C notes that he put out. You need to read through the Fleet Foundry Fight because Navy Medicine's job is to support the CNO, the warfighter. So read through that. Also, we talk a lot about Navy. Don't forget that there's a whole nother fleet that we support, which is called the Fleet Marine Force. You need to read the Commandant of the Marine Corps planning guidance, specifically where it talks about Force Design 2030. I can tell you that anybody who's serving at a MEF right now, especially in Japan, third MEF, is definitely and first MEF too, is definitely doing some reorganizing on how we conduct medical care and medical readiness to support the warfighters in those specific regions. And then last but not least, you should ask any one of your JO mentors to let you get a copy of the Medical Service Corps Rudder. The Rudder, it comes out every month. And in that Rudder, Admiral Case talks about, where the MSC is. And then there's so many different publications and different things in the Rudder that talks about the Medical Service Corps as a whole, as well as each specialty. So, and then my last personal guidance would be read the book Start With Why by Simon Sinek. I will always tell people to read that book if you haven't read it. Start with Why by Simon Sinek. So those are just some things that I give you as homework. If you haven't looked at them, a lot of those things should help you with your package. Other than that, thank you for your time today. Thank you for coming out. Be on the lookout for more opportunities in your area. And then also, there is a flyer that is out for a listed to officer core brief that is put on behalf of BUMED. All the core chiefs are putting it together, and it's going to cover not only MSC-IPP, but MECEP, all the recruiting programs. It's going to talk about medical core, dental core, nurse core, everything. So if you haven't seen that flyer, you can email us. We'll send it to you. But I know there's two dates. One is in February, one is in March. I can't remember the dates off the top of my head. I'll let somebody else know. But either way, if you email us, we can send it to you.
Hey Mac, let me just add one more to that reading list. I would highly encourage you to read the MadMed P117 Chapter 7, which is the Medical Service Corps Officer that was recently updated as of the 28th. So I would read up on that because it covers the responsibilities of the Medical Service Corps Officer and the expectation.
Sir, could you repeat that?
It's Chapter 7 of the P117 of the MadMed.
Manual of Medicine, MANMED, P117, Chapter 7. Lieutenant Herrera keep me on my toes. That's why I love it. Surround yourself with people that keep you on your toes.
And then, sir, could you also repeat the commandant's statement? What was that called?
Not sure, mate. I don't do no repeat backs. No, I'm just kidding. It's the Commandant Marine Corps Planning Guidance and focus specifically on Force Design 2030. If I got any of my Marine folks out there, you already know what I'm talking about.
I'm with Greenside right now. I actually
You-
met the commandant. I got to shake his hand. He gave me a little shout out for being a doc. It
There
was
you
cool.
go, Doc. Get him. All right, y'all. It is now 1500. Well, actually, it's 1503. So we're going to go ahead and shut this down. This will be posted in the groups. Again, thank you for your time. Please hit us up if you have further questions. You all have a great and safe weekend.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.